today's videos, I will be talking about vascular event and cellular event of the acute inflammation. So first of all, before starting vascular and cellular event, let me tell you types of inflammation. So here you can see that there are basically two types of inflammation. The one is acute inflammation and the other one is chronic inflammation. Acute inflammation is that type of inflammation that will develop immediately within minutes after the injury or any infection or any other injurious stimulus that can cause inflammation. So right after the exposure to that particular injurious agent or pathogen, acute inflammation will develop and it will last for some days or it can last for some hours as well. Chronic inflammation is slow. The onset of development of chronic inflammation is slow and it can duration can be weeks, and in some cases the duration of chronic inflammation can be months. If we talk about the cells involved in the acute inflammation, the white blood cells that are involved are the neutrophils, while in case of chronic inflammation, the white blood cells that are involved are lymphocytes and macrophages, and in some cases eosinophils. Eosinophils may also get involved if the injurious agent would be parasite. So we can say that in case of chronic parasitic infection, eosinophils can also play their important role. The tissue injury in the case of acute inflammation would be mild, obviously, okay, and in case of chronic inflammation, there would be very severe injury to the tissues. Even fibrosis can also happen if chronic inflammation persists for a longer period of time. If we talk about the local signs and systematic signs, obviously in case of acute inflammation they will be very much prominent, but in case of chronic inflammation they will be less prominent. So these are some differences between acute and chronic inflammation, but believe me, at the end of explanation about acute inflammation and about the chronic inflammation, you will be able to find out some more differences as well. So you just need to stay with me till the end of this series of inflammation to get all your concept clear related to the inflammation. Now, if we talk about the events of the inflammation, we know that there are basically two types of events in the acute inflammation. The one is vascular event and the other is cellular event. There are two types of events happen in the acute inflammation. The one is cellular event and other is vascular event. In today's video, I will be focusing on the vascular events, and in the next video we will be talking about the cellular event, what happened at the cellular level and what happened at the vascular level. Let's discuss. So as far as vascular events are concerned, there are two main things that are going to happen in the acute inflammation. The one is vasodilation and the other one is increase vascular permeability. So let's talk about the mechanism behind the vasodilation. For example, the major cell that is responsible for the vasodilation is mast cell. Why so? Because they contain a very prominent mediator that cause vasodilation, and that is histamine. Mast cells have granules of histamine, so obviously this histamine is basically responsible for the vasodilation. So we can say that mast cell that are present in the local issue, they are going to play important role in the development of the vasodilation. Now let's see how vasodilation happens after a pathogen or injurious agent enter inside the tissue. So here you can see this is a tissue and this is the nearby blood vessel. Inside the tissue you can see this pathogen. For example, these are the pathogen. They have entered inside the, these are the pathogen. They have entered inside the tissue. Now this mast cell, it will release histamine in response to various stimulus. The first one is mast cell do have, this is a mast cell. I'm talking about this mast cell. Let's talk about on the big screen. So this is a mast cell. Mast cell have pattern recognition receptors. Pattern recognition receptor. These are the receptor that will recognize the foreign particles. So with the help of these pattern recognition receptors that are present on the mast cell, it will recognize these pathogen, these bacteria, and after the identification, it will release its mediator, that is histamine. It will release histamine. Similarly, these pathogens, they also have capability to activate the complementary system. So complementary protein will get activated. And two important complementary protein. The one is C3A and the other is C5A. These complementary protein, they also have receptors on the mast cell. So when these complementary protein, they will act on the mast cell. Here you can see they have receptor on the mast cell. When these complementary protein will act on the mast cell, obviously mast cell will release histamine. Similarly, in response to this injury, local immune cell, they can also secrete some cytokines like interleukin 1 or interleukin 8. Our mast cell also have receptor for these interleukin 1 and interleukin 8, and when these interleukin 1 and interleukin 8 will act on these mast cell, they will also release histamine. So in response to these certain reactions, mast cell can release histamine. Now point is how histamine is going to cause a vasodilation. Histamine do have receptors on the vascular smooth muscles. Once this histamine will go and act on the vascular smooth muscles, it will cause the smooth muscle relaxation. When there will be a smooth muscle relaxation, the vessels against which these muscles are present, they will get dilated. So because of the smooth muscle relaxation, vascular smooth muscle relaxation, histamine can cause vasodilation. Histamine does not cause the all smooth muscle relaxation. It causes the smooth muscle relaxation that are involved in the surrounding the blood vessel. So we can say that it causes relaxation in vascular smooth muscle. So if we talk about the smooth muscle in our respiratory tract, it basically constricts them. And this mechanism has been discussed in type 1 hypersensitivity. Okay. Now, in this way, vasodilation will be taken place. So this is the first vascular event, that is vasodilation. And we have seen that how this vasodilation will be taken place in response to injury or in response to any pathogen. Now, the other vascular event is increase in vascular permeability. Increase in vascular permeability. Here you can see that this is a normal blood vessel, and these are the basically red. These red in color, they are basically endothelial cells. These dots are basically plasma protein, and they are basically different white blood cells or leukocyte. Most probably it seems to be a neutrophil. Okay. Now there are three main mechanisms involved that are responsible in increasing the vascular permeability. The first one is retraction of endothelial cell. This retraction, or we can also say that constriction, shrinkage of endothelial cell. Now, how this happen? Again, histamine is responsible. Here we can see that mast cell is releasing histamine. Now, histamine, along with the receptor on the smooth muscle, it also have receptor on these endothelial cells. Here we can see these are the endothelial cells. It also have receptors on the endothelial cell. When histamine will act on these endothelial cells, it will contract them, it will constrict them. This will cause a shrinkage of these cells. When these endothelial cells will shrink, they will shrink. Here you can see the gap between two cells will be produced, and because of these gaps, some fluid and protein, it can easily leak out of the blood vessel. And so we can say that the permeability, the vascular permeability of the blood vessel has been increased. It has become permeable to fluid and some protein. This is the reason they are being leaked out of the cell. So the one mechanism is retraction of the endothelial cell, and obviously again we know that this mechanism is being done by the histamine released from the mast cell. Now this retraction of endothelial cell is rapid. It happens immediately because histamine is directly going to act, and it is going to cause a shrinkage, and it is short-lived. Right after few minutes, these endothelial cells, they will get back to the normal position. So it's a short-lived. The second mechanism of the increase in vascular permeability is the endothelial cell injury. What is endothelial cell injury? Again, let's talk about the invading pathogen here. These microorganisms, these pathogens, they can also produce certain toxins or certain molecules that can directly cause damage to these endothelial cells. So these pathogens or bacteria, they can directly cause damage to the endothelial cell. So this is the second reason of increasing vascular permeability. And what is it? Endothelial injury. How this endothelial injury is being done? Here you can see it is caused by burn some microbial toxins that directly cause damage to the endothelial cell. Obviously, it would be rapid. It would be rapid. Right after the entry of pathogen into the muscle, it will start causing damage to the nearby endothelial cell. But it would persist for longer time, from hours to days, because now the repair of these endothelial cells will take some time. So endothelial injury done by these microbial toxin, it will be for the longer period of time. The third mechanism that is involved in increasing vascular permeability during the inflammation is transcytosis. Now what is transcytosis? Direct transport of molecule from one side to the opposite side. So here you can see, this is for example, this is the blood vessel. Okay. Here, these are the endothelial cells, and these are also the endothelial cells, and this is the lumen of the blood vessel. Assume that. Okay. Let me make the boundary of this blood vessel black. Okay. Now this is the blood vessel, lumen, and these are the cells, and these are the endothelial cells. Now what will happen? In response to injury, in response to pathogens, certain growth factor will be produced. For example, transforming growth factor. Now this transforming growth factor, TGF, it is responsible for complete, first the main proteins or fluid, sometime it will be endocytosed, it will get inside the endothelial cell from the lumen of blood, and then from the other side it will be exocytosed inside the tissue. So it means the vascular permeability of these endothelial cells has been increased. The fluid has been started leaking out of the blood vessel, and it is going inside the tissue by passing within the cell, directly from the cell, through the cell. The fluid is being passed and has started accumulating inside the tissue, and this process is called as transcytosis. And this is the third mechanism that is involved in increasing the vascular permeability. So this was something related to the vascular events. In the next video, I'll be talking about the cellular events that are involved in the acute inflammation. Stay with me. Thank you so much.